Well, hello there. This is the Holy Hour Podcast. I'm Gavin. Thanks so much for joining us. The Holy Hour Podcast is, in fact, a Cure podcast, the band The Cure. Thanks so much for joining us again, or for the first time. How's it going out there? I hope you're having a nice chill Thursday. That's when I'm recording this, May 25th, 2017. Notice I hesitated for a second. What year is it? I'm so out of the loop. But yeah, I'm just kind of chilling today, and I thought this would be a great time to just do some Cure babbling with you. It's just me, and the date will be relevant in a minute. But yeah, got my daily plan sidetracked with a check engine light. So I was like, all right, well I'm without a car, so here I am. It's gonna work on the yard, but it's all soggy out there. Sun's coming up. Might have a chance at getting to it, but if you hear some birds tweeting in the back, that's what's going on. And what does this mean to me as a Cure listener, you're saying? Well, that means that I have nothing else to do but sit here and drink this giant Darth Vader cup of coffee and talk Cure to you. Yep, it was one of the initial ideas, for better or worse, was having an outlet for Cure talk. Whether it be with my friends or people that sort of know the Cure people out in the world that I don't even know at all. Or guess what? I often just talk about the Cure by myself in a room with no one there. And I never used to record it. So I'm like, well, why not record it? So, but I do have a game plan for you guys. So don't worry. I'm not going to just totally talk nonsense like a crazy person at you. Well, I might, but the idea, going back to what I said, today is May 25th. It's a Thursday. This will air on a Monday, so unfortunately when you're listening to this, you won't really be able to celebrate with me by any means. But May 25th, as any Cure fan knows, there's almost too many anniversaries to celebrate properly. I'm always tempted. I'm kind of dude that does dwell on anniversaries. I don't like to make a big deal out of things, whether it be this is the day it happened. This could be the last day that this happens. And, I think somebody said something about like posting like death dates or something like that in particular. And Ian Curtis just had his, anniversary of his death maybe last week, I guess it was. And somebody's like, why are we celebrating the day he died? This is horrible. Somebody worded it well, I thought, where they said, we're remembering, we're not celebrating so much. But not the case here. No death dates to talk about on this episode of the Holy Hour. These are more anniversaries we could celebrate. But there are some anniversaries. And I thought we could bunch all this together and remember some great Cure moments as a group of people. And what anniversaries? Like I said, there's always something. There's always like, on this day, 17 Seconds came out, whatever amount of years ago. So there's always going to be some kind of anniversary between the singles and albums. So it's tempting to, do anything more than just post something on social media going, wow, remember? Or it's still awesome after all these years. But today, why not? If we got a few and we got some to batch together. So just give you the quick rundown. May 25th, the significance. And there's probably more of it. I didn't really investigate. But Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me came out 30 years ago today. 30, it's kind of a milestone birthday. And 30 years. So thought I'd kick it off. We've been doing the album reviews pretty consistently, Donald and I. And I don't like to jump ahead to one because we're just going to be talking about it in more detail later together. So I'll just kind of code over ideas and more talk about the legacy of Kiss Me, Kiss Me real quick and on its birthday here. It's turning 30 years old. Can you believe it? For some reason, it doesn't seem that shocking. It does seem like an older one, and I wasn't really sure. I think it'll be more shocking when Disintegration's 30 because I'll be like, oh, wow, that was... I specifically remember buying that one on the day it came out. So that's like, whoa. Kiss Me, Kiss Me, for those that haven't put my timeline together, is a significant album because that was the most current album when I became an official fan. It's hard to say when the fan button was officially pushed or what, but it was 1988. So like Kiss Me was the current album that was out, but it wasn't really new. I think when I officially just dove in and started buying and getting as much Cure stuff as possible. Hot 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 had already been released as the last single, so I think that was around February. I thought I read that somewhere. So this was probably like summer '88 maybe. So this kind of mysterious new album, but nobody was really calling it new at that point, was released. But it was cool because as far as I knew, that was the most current deal, and I was up to date by having that. And it was weird because it was the double album, which has a huge impact on people's perception of the album now. Even I feel like now more so even, but at the time, this was kind of further breaking them through the mainstream in a sense, because Head on the Door did so well, and they're definitely starting to blow up in the U.S. And, Kiss Me, it was clearly that, all right, we've done it. Let's do that home run swing, put out this double album. We're just cranking out these amazing songs. And, it seemed like, when you look at most people's careers even, this would shape up to be like their peak album. I'm sure there's people out there that do think it is their peak album, or, who knows? Everyone seems to start or stop liking The Cure at one point or another. But it's weird because, then obviously Disintegration would be the most widely argued, peak album or most successful, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, because it was like Head on the Door definitely, knocked down the door, and then bam, what are you going to do next? And of course it would be this giant album, which is Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And I don't know. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Kiss Me, Kiss Me. I still love it. It means a lot to me. It's like, one that's been there. It's weird because, like I said, the double album thing, a lot of people, hold it against it. And I'm probably in that boat now. It's weird looking at Kiss Me, Kiss Me. It's one that I always had in my top 3 favorite Cure albums, at least. Maybe even my number 1 for a while, because I love so many of the certain songs on it. But then some are like, meh. But it's like weird as a kid. Like I never really questioned the double album thing. I just kind of figured that's what it was, or they just had to make a double album for whatever reason, And it's like you don't really hold that against it or anything. But now, being older and wiser, there is a strong argument and perspective of like, well, why? You could have trimmed some of these. Are cool songs, but you probably could have left a few of them off and narrowed it down and made it like a tighter, just awesome package of like how I feel Head on the Door really is, where it's just like this concise, really like 1-2 punch kind of deal. But the longer pace, the album format, I think it's just another way of doing it, and I think that's great too. The more the merrier, I always say. So I'm all for double albums, but yeah, as far as like concise, perfect record, it does kind of hurt it in that regards, I think, because there are certain ones on it that aren't my favorite Cure songs by any means, but man, those ones that do hit on Kiss Me are so good, and they're still probably in my top favorites there. Of course, Just Like Heaven, Catch, One More Time, and 1,000 Hours are like my 2 buddy depressing songs. They're so beautiful, because it's weird because they're not even like, they're definitely sad songs, but they're like really beautiful songs, like where you can just put them on, and it doesn't have quite the heart-wrenching despair that like a lot of the awesome downer songs and Disintegration have, but even like, because I guess there's like a little bit of hope maybe in like One More Time, a bit more, where it's like sad, but it's like, just take me in your arms one more time, like there's technically a chance that it's gonna happen again. 1,000 Hours is a little more defeatist, I guess, but yeah, just all those like synth strings and stuff seem to have a more positive twist to it, or romantic edge. I don't know, we've talked about that with Donald and I in the past. Of this album just has like such a great like romantic feel to it. I don't know if it's just the kissing imagery and the kind of Frenchiness attached to it or whatever, like being recorded there, and like just, I don't know, like the whole feel of it. And it's weird because that's one of the things I love about it, is that it has such a great feel to the album, but that's definitely nothing shocking for a Cure album. Pretty much every Cure album has a specific mood and like feeling to it, and the ones that don't actually stand out a lot more than the ones that do. But so that, no groundbreaking revelation there, but the idea that the feel of Kiss Me and the tones and everything, and just the imagery that you put into your own head when you listen to this album is definitely a cool mood that I really love, and not sappy in any way, really. I mean, it's just this cool romantic vision that you can attach these songs to. Certain songs take it in a different angle, I guess. There's the whole hot, hot, hot and why can't I be you angle, both of which I always go back and forth on. See that episode if you really want to dig into those two songs. I'm cool with them, but I know somebody else that has some major problems with them. But we'll address all of that when we talk about Kiss Me in more detail with Donald. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I'd still definitely my top 5 Cure albums. I guess talking about the longevity of it and its birthday being 30 years old today that's what I mean. It's not like shocking because it seems old still, but the production is great. That whole Dave Allen thing, which I still need to investigate further, and really want to just do a whole episode on this dude because I think he's like a mystery missing piece of the genius of Cure Productions and stuff. Because I mean, Robert really is always credited as co-producing around those later albums, or this era in particular, where I feel like the real timelessness of the Cure kicks in. Like the production, there's nothing that like makes this album dated when you listen to it. I say, oh, almost. One thing does make it dated, and that's the damn saxophone. Good God, there's a lot of saxophone on this one in particular. But, it was 1987. Come on, people. And it works as far as, still listenable songs to the most part. But yeah, I would say that's the only thing that dates the album where you can be like, oh yeah, this is probably an 80s album. But otherwise, you put on like The Kiss or something, and it's like, I don't know, nobody was doing that in 1987. It's just such a weird, cool, unique sound, and all the guitars, still sounded like they had some balls, and like, it wasn't all just weird 80s studio guitar tricks and stuff, So I don't know. I think it's a huge accomplishment because it's not anything that sounds like 1987. So I don't know. I also feel this is like around when the Cure really just took it up a notch as far as a more, I don't want to say mainstream even, because they hadn't really still broken through, but it was like definitely in that bracket of like huge bands that like mainstream top 40 radio, especially in the US, wasn't like latching on to yet. But I mean, anybody in cool college radio I think is all breaking big by this point and stuff. So they're playing giant venues probably at this point. Obviously they're probably already have been since Head on the Door playing like pavilions and stuff. But everything seemed to just kind of be like Head on the Door, but on steroids a bit more for this album. Even their like look and everything got a little bit more defined, I think, by taking the uniform thing a bit more since Head on the Door. And it's weird because it does really kind of take that. I guess they sort of were wearing similar stuff around the top, but not as much. It seemed to be like a specific like branding of the Cure almost seemed to happen more subtly on Head on the Door, but then you just see like images from Kiss Me era and stuff, and you kind of just know that it was that time, maybe because the font and everything was so distinct, and all the artwork I really love from that album, and the singles and everything, and just seemed like everything had this cool like team, like they had really become a band again, like the second full version of the band, that isn't the early first 3 albums or so. So I don't know. I feel like that just kind of got taken up a notch with this album and kind of stuck, like then they would just have different variations on it as they would go through, the Boris years in particular. So I don't know. I love Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. I still stand by it. We'll get into more details, of course, as we get to it with the full album review. But other than that, happy birthday, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. You haven't aged a day. You're still beautiful.
Oh
So what other anniversaries are going on today? May 25th. What possibly could have happened in Cure history on this day that matters enough to babble into this podcast episode with you people? And it's a bit of a more personal one. 25 years ago, today was the first day that I and Donald, the bad boy of podcasting, saw the Cure for the first time ever live at the Capitol Center, DC. It was an amazing day for the Wish Tour, 1992, my freshman year of high school. And this is kind of covered in the Wish episode. We go into more details, but that was a while back now. So if anybody hasn't backtracked and really want to hear the play-by-play of us just scooping every little corner of our memories out and rehashing that wonderful evening of seeing the Cure for the first time and the smell of the stadium and the merch stand and the whole deal, go visit the Wish episode. But it's still a pretty vivid day in my memory, and for a long time I would credit May 25th, 1992 as being the best day of my life. I was so happy that day. It was like when you're just old enough, being a teenager, that you kind of lose a little bit of that like kid on Christmas feeling, when you're really anticipating whatever toy or whatever the hell, or just the mystery of Christmas morning or Christmas Eve whenever you open your presents or whatever, and there was definitely that feeling like even taken up a notch, because I'd already had been kind of the, angsty teenager at that point, and you don't get as thrilled about everything. But man, I remember like not being able to sleep the night before. I remember the feeling nauseous in my stomach before the band came out, because I was so nervous and so excited and wanted it to all just go perfectly, and it delivered. I was so happy. It was like just the best day of my life, and it's like since then, of course, growing up and being a real almost functioning adult, you're like, well, yeah, clearly the day I got married are way more significant and better days. But the more I started to think about it, as I was jotting this down, I'm like, well, yeah, but the day I got married was clearly a better day, and in hindsight, way better and more rewarding than seeing the Cure even for the first time. But I was terrified. I didn't know what I was doing. You always were kind of like, okay, and we were just kind of fumbling through that, and even more so on the day my son was born, which is, turned out fine and everything was perfect. But Jesus, you're terrified on that kind of day. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? The whole thing's like a battle out there. If anybody's been around for child labor, I think you know what I mean. It was technically all went smoothly, but it was a long labor, and it was pretty weird, and this little human comes out, it's amazing when it all works and is done. But there was a good 12 hours there where I was just like, this is either going to be the best day of my life or the absolute worst. I don't know what's happening. And, no matter what, that Cure show was pretty set in stone that it was just going to be great. I mean, there was no real chance of them, I guess if they, canceled or something the day before, but then it just wouldn't have happened, So, I mean, maybe in a sense it is still the best day of my life. That feeling, was 100%, just innocence and happiness, and there was no real fear of it going wrong or anything. I guess there could have been somebody in the stands that picked a fight with me or something, but who knows. But yeah, it was pretty amazing day. And for the record, yes, my marriage and childbirth are more significant and better days, but it's still an amazing day. That first time I saw the Cure, and I don't know, the Cranes opened up. Donald really loved them. I was kind of, especially at the night of, I was like, this is not that the Cure would have gone on any sooner if the Cranes weren't there, but I was like, basically so much momentum building up to that I was like, just get off the stage. You're the one thing in between me and seeing this band right now. Stop playing. But and I still, when I listen to their music, don't love it. I love the idea. They're cool, but yeah, I've liked it a lot more since that moment. But I'm not a huge fan. Sorry, Cure fans. I know that people are like, what? How could you not love them? But yeah, I don't. So Donald became a huge fan with them. Yeah, it was me, Donald, my brother Owen, and our friend Jessica. We were all sitting together. It would have been about stage right a little bit, kind of in the cracks. I guess if you're on stage, it would have been about like 2 o'clock. So we're off to the side a little bit. Decent seats, not great by any means, but wasn't picky at that point at all. So it was cool. Sound was good. A big stadium show, So what can you not get right in something like that with The Cure? But so that was cool. And our friend Bill and Brandon, went with us too. They were up in a higher seats there. They got separate tickets there. So they were all there. So it was a whole family event of buddies and everybody from that era. And and it was weird too. Like the set list was very solid. Wish Tour set list. They hadn't totally begun like the crazy marathon shows by any means at that point, but they did play quite a bit. It was, let's see, credit to, what is this, setlist.fm website. It's probably pretty common knowledge, but anybody that hasn't checked out that website should check it out, because they got pretty much every set list on there going back to any show. And it's cool. You can pretty much make a little folder of like all my Cure shows that I've gone to, so I can reference back to them and look at them. It was like, 17 songs in the main set there, opening with Open, ending with End. Pretty much all singles. Show It Sometimes, Apart. Some of the deeper cuts from Wish were in there that wouldn't really appear a lot since. Encores, Love Song, and Why Can't I Be You, of course. Second encore was cool. Three Imaginary Boys, Primary, Boys Don't Cry, and they ended with Forest. So nothing super rare, but I mean, for your first Cure show, that's pretty solid, man. And I loved it. And there was talk, and even when we first started this podcast, up until recently, because of this website, I thought of that. I think it got cut out of an episode where Don and I were talking about it, and I broke it to him, was that they played 2 nights at Capitol Center, and we had friends that went to the second night. We only went to the first night. One of my bigger regrets. Should have gone to both. But we had a friend that went to the second night instead. They didn't go to the first night. Came back and they were like, yeah, man, they played like In Your House and At Night. And I think like Letter to Elise or something. And I was just like, oh my God, they played, definitely some weirder stuff. That would have been amazing. Or just different stuff. At that point I didn't know that The Cure would actually change up their set list from show to show, and so it sounded like it was like a completely different thing, so I definitely should have gone to both nights, but as any Cure fan knows now, of course, but it was just kind of stuck with me. And then with like the release of Show in Paris, it kind of just somehow stuck in our head that so every show on the tour was pretty much flip-flop between like a more show, relatable one, and then the second set would be more like Paris, which had, Dressing Up and a lot of like weirder songs on there, 100 Years and stuff even. But so I always just assumed that the second set was all of that, and then thanks to this website, I looked up the second night finally, and just to see what I missed, and it really wasn't that different. It was fairly similar to the set list, just with a few of those sprinkled in. I think it was like a 17 seconds kind of encore that they did and stuff. So it wasn't really full on Paris. So that makes me feel better. I didn't really miss anything that much, just a few random sprinkles of variety, but they still opened with Open and ended with End and everything. So there you go. I felt a little better, and all this time, but I still wish I could have gone to that second show, man. But yeah, hard to believe that was 25 years ago. And that almost feels older than Kiss Me, Kiss Me at this point, thinking of high school and just being so like ecstatic and going to school the next day and wearing my Cure t-shirt that I got at the show. I had that one forever too, the red face with he's pulling his hands up on his head there, and of course it's going for like $500 on eBay or something now. And I'm like, where did that go? I think it just fell apart and somehow it just disappeared from my closet, which is terrible of me now. But anyway, that was a great night, and 25 years ago. So moving on, what other anniversary? Well, it's not an actual anniversary, but I thought it'd be cool to always tag on a song from the self-titled album, because most people don't really want to talk to me about that album. And if you know me, it is probably been on the record at some point that the self-titled album that came out in 2004 is technically my least favorite Cure album. I don't despise it, or I'm not offended by it or anything like that. But, when you line it up with 12 other, life-changing albums, well, maybe 11 other life-changing albums, that one in particular, just, there's a lot of misses, a lot more misses on it than the ones that really hit my heart. But the song Anniversary, what? Oh, not an actual anniversary, but the song Anniversary is on that album, and it's one of my favorite ones on the album. It is one that I do really enjoy. I wouldn't say I love it by any means, but it's a cool song, and I thought, no one's really going to want to talk about that song with me on this podcast in great detail, so it might be a good time to just give a little 2 cents, as they say. But the self-titled album came out in 2004, and Anniversary's cool because it's one of the more, I don't know, it's not like it's a sad song, I guess, and it's more mellow, I guess. Like, my problem with the self-titled one, it just has too much of that aggression side, like where the songs are all like us or them, where it just turns into him kind of shouting over like some drunk kind of stuff, and still blame that producer, but I'm sure they just wanted to rock out a bit more. But I like this one because it does have a little bit more of a chilling the fuck out kind of vibe to it, and it's cool, and it's got good lyrics, and I kind of feel like it would be like a more widely accepted song even if it had just been like a B. It feels like a good B-side from like Wish or something, or Wild Mood Swings even, and it does have kind of a B-sidey feel even still, but I think it's the most, probably might be one of my probably my favorite one, second to End of the World, I guess, is still a cool song on that self-titled album. So I don't know, and it was weird because there's also a funny website, I'm sure somebody stumbled across it, or everyone stumbled across it at some point, but that's songmeanings.com, and it's kind of funny just to see, like, I guess the gist of the website is that people just, is like a forum, and they write the meanings if they've read about it or what they think the song means or something. But a lot of people just treat it like a forum where they talk about the song, and I was kind of surprised and not surprised at the same time that a lot of people, credited Anniversaries being their favorite song on the self-titled album. I think End of the World can get a little poppy for some people, maybe. Or they just don't like it for whatever reason. But I like it. And it was weird that Anniversary wasn't a single or anything. So, I mean, it kind of has like a deep cut feel to it. But I don't know. I think it's the most like kind of solid Cure song on the record, probably. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really put it in my top 10 by any means. But it's a cool song. If you haven't listened to that one in a while, I recommend it. It has good solid lyrics, and since it is a bit of the sadder theme, it kind of gives you that feel that it's not like a happy anniversary by any means. It's like an anniversary of something that didn't make it. Not even so much like a death anniversary or anything like that, but just like looking back, probably most obvious would be like a relationship, and then the anniversary of when it didn't happen or when it started or something, and looking back on it, some kind of date that sparks an anniversary of letting it all go, as many Cure songs have that theme of why did we walk away kind of reminiscing vibe. So that's kind of why I love it, I think, because it has more of that old classic Cure vibe and tone to it. So how about you guys? What do you think out there? Before I like the other albums, I don't want to totally dive into my deep thoughts on self-titled album, but where does Anniversary rank for you? Is that one that even comes up on anybody's radar as far as Cure songs? I don't know, but along those lines too, and since we got some time here, and I'll wrap up with this, there was kind of a cool thing that happened earlier in the week. If you're familiar with another website that I'll plug, and I'll put all these amazing websites in the Facebook feed, of course, so go on over to Facebook after this and find the Holy Hour for this episode, and I'll put the links there, and you can look up your own Cure set list and song meanings. And this website that's probably pretty widely known for Cure fans and music fans out there, but slicingupeyeballs.com, slicingupeyeballs.com. And it was always just this kind of cool, solid, like, I guess it would be more like alternative, music website. They tend to just be like the classics from like late 80s, The Cure, New Order, Smiths, anything, any new news always popped up on it. And but they covered like a lot of 90s rock stuff too, and it would get into like just kind of that 120 minutes era of like awesome everyone that pretty much liked music around 90s or late 80s and stuff like that. These would be the bands that you care about, so it's kind of like a Pitchfork or Stereo Gum that like narrows it down to good shit. So, but it was always this solid like website, and then they stopped for a little while, and I guess he just had it as like a app or something where it just was like really narrowed down, but it seemed like it came back. But one of the things that this website does, it's always dorky but fun, as they would always have these cool polls, where you'd be like best song or best albums of like 1987, and they just leave it up for a while and everyone just kind of votes super easy. It's always like really easy, just click the albums you like from that year or whatever, and then you forget about it, and like a month later the results will pop up. But so they started up a new one again by popular demand, it sounded like, and it's a Cure one, and they had every Cure song. It's called the Absolute Best of the Cure, all 225 songs ranked. I'm not quite sure what I'm sure they go into the criteria for everything, but I didn't bother to really read all that. But yeah, it's every song, like B-sides, and I guess just everything that was like officially released by The Cure. So they're all in there, and you had like about a month of vote on them. And I think you got like 25 picks, I think it was. So you were allowed to pick your top 25, basically. And then they list them all, like not even just the top 25, but every song and how many votes it got. It's pretty ridiculous. And I guess before I even just dive into some of that, because it's fun to look at, I have to go on the record of saying how much I hate these lists technically. It's like for a while there, that's all like Spin and Rolling Stone were putting out. It's like, and they're kind of designed just to piss people off and get you like, what? How could that be best guitarist of the 80s or whatever, and they always just kind of, it's always going to piss somebody off, or you're just going to be like, how in the hell is that above this and there? But then it's like, oh, that's the point. It just gets your blood boiling enough to actually look at it enough, and it's just fun. So I gotta say, I do not like lists, and I don't like genres even in particular. I think everything should just be lumped together at the record store alphabetically. And but that being said, as a human, I think we all just like putting things in lists. I don't know why. It's so weird categorizing and putting things in the list, and what better way to do it than to vote. So there is some backing behind it. Who knows how many people really dove into this and voted a billion times or what. Like any election, it's probably got a huge bullshit factor, but it's fun. And with something like The Cure, every song, why not, So I'm not going to read you obviously every 225 songs and where they ranked, but I thought it was kind of funny to walk it through with you guys, and you should totally go to slicingupeyeballs.com and check out the results, just so you can thumb through it and get a little chuckle or see what your favorite songs lie at. And there wasn't too many huge surprises. The top 10, countdown for suspense. It was a Night Like This, Close to Me at 9, Disintegration, the song, Fascination Street, Charlotte Sometimes, number 5, Boys Don't Cry, 4, Pictures of You, 3, In Between Days, 2, Just Like Heaven, and number 1, most voted, highly voted Cure song, A Forest, which I thought was kind of surprising, because it was like, wow. I know people love that song. It's definitely not one of my top 5 even. I dig it, but I always like the live version more and stuff. Like, I like if it's just gonna rock out. But Yeah, super cool song actually, but not number one. I mean, of course, like just like having In Between Days, Pictures of You are my favorites, but they're the obvious ones, of course, and Boys Don't Cry even. So yeah, not too many huge surprises. I guess a little shocking that like Fascination Street and Shout sometimes would be in the top 10. But not really. I guess along the lines of surprises being spoiled. Sorry if I am spoiling this guy's countdown for you guys, but yeah, go check it out. Love Song was 11, being like their biggest hit. You'd think that'd be a little higher. But I don't think it was the top 40 pop radio people that are voting on this. It's obviously all Cure fans. Friday I'm in Love would be like down, I think it was like at 26 or something. So still fairly high on the list, but not for being their big hit. It's kind of weird that was that far down. So yeah, then it's just kind of sporadic all over the place, like Letter to Elise being 20 and stuff like that. I thought one was kind of, Friday I'm in Love was ahead of like Primary Push and Play for Today. I'm like, what? But it was like a big hit, so who knows what the logic is and how many people and who was voting. So aside from that, other noteworthy things that I thought were funny, since it was all B-sides and stuff, I was like, oh, where was the first sighting of a B-side on this list then, I wonder? And no huge shock. What do you think the number one B-side highest ranking was? Of course, Exploding Boy. Number 56, though. Like, I think I had that a lot higher when I voted or whatever, of course. But yeah, and then shortly after 56, they start trickling in a bit more. I think it was like This Twilight Garden was the next loved B-side, which kind of makes sense. And maybe some of that's residue from the tour that just happened. Burn was actually ahead of Exploding Boy, even at like 40 something, I think. But yeah, so that was kind of cool and weird to see some B-sides. I think Harold and Joe, surprisingly, which I don't think we've actually even addressed ever on this podcast yet. So Harold and Joe, cool song, weird but good. And then the bottom, I thought would be fun to just see what was out of all 225 Cure songs, what do you think the least favorite 5 are? Let's take a look. Oh, yeah. I almost got excited for a second, but yeah, number 225. Well, maybe we'll count in reverse to build some suspense. 221, the Weedy Burton, of course, which probably could have been a solid argument. That should have been the last one. So terrible. And then it's a little unfair because it's like B-sides to stuff off the self-titled album in 413. So, come on, that's not really fair. But yeah, so 221 was Weedy Burton, so I guess that's the last like old school Cure song to be on there. 222 is Fake, the B-side of End of the World. 223, All Kinds of Stuff, B-side of Freak Show. 223, and a lot of these were ties too, I guess. B-side to The Only One off of 413. And 225, the most unloved. Only one vote. Oh, he got one vote. Why Can't I Be Me? Remember the B-side to Alt End and Taking Off, which it was the most unmemorable song ever recorded by The Cure, I would probably say. I keep always going like, oh, wow, that's so weird. It's like a play on Why Can't I Be You? What was he doing? There's got to be some significance. And every time I listen to it, I go, and I forget it immediately. I can't remember. I couldn't hum you a part of that song to save my life. And I've listened to it constantly. Well, not constantly. But, yeah, so I guess bear with me 1 second here. I want to scan up just above Weedy Burton and see what is like the last like old school Cure song to be ranked. Let's see. It's more just B-sides from old stuff. The Final Sound from 17 Seconds. Little instrumental deal is 215, which I don't feel as bad for bashing now, I guess. But then we got more B-sides. Let's see. Yeah, they're all like stuff from like Lost Wishes and stuff. Like, got some Wild Mood Swing B-sides now in the 200s. Yeah, it's weird. I guess Out of Mind, the B-side from Lullaby and Fascination Street was pretty low. So, and then 3 actually from 17 Seconds, which I was never been a huge fan of. I believe that's one of Arusha's favorite songs. Arusha's pissed now. 204, 3. So I guess that's kind of the first like real song that isn't like a B-side or a super new one. Anyway, so there you go. Like I said, I'm not going to really just read the whole list to you. You should just go on over to slicingupeyeballs.com and check that out. List, what can you do about them? I don't know. They're fun, but they're stupid. Let's be honest. And I actually had like an episode of the Holy Hour where I was babbling again in myself. I did it in a car while I was driving around because it was like around when one of these came out and they ranked every like the 13 major Cure albums, so not counting like Mixed Up or Japanese Whispers, and they just ranked the albums. And I thought early on it'd be fun to do that, just so we all know where like Donald and I stand as far as like what our favorite Cure albums are and stuff. But I ultimately thought it was kind of dumb because lists are kind of dumb, and I didn't put it out. But since we're talking list right now, here's my quick rundown. Why not? Just so in case there's any confusion of how generic or where I stand on my love of Cure albums. Here they are, ranked, for all the wrong reasons. And of course, I love all of them. They're like children. You can't pick one of. Well, maybe you can pick some. Anyway, it's not too shocking. Here's my list. My least favorite is the self-titled album, of course. Second least favorite, 413 Dreams, even though it's got some great songs on it. I feel like that one still bounces around. This list changes by the hour, by the way. So 413 Dream, then Blood Flowers. I don't know. Some days I love it a lot more, but yeah, consistently it's pretty low down on the list. I'll take Wild Mood Swings over Blood Flowers, even though it's got a few songs that I think are definitely some of their worst songs ever, but it's got a few that I really love. Want Goes a Long Way. That song's brilliant. Right above that is The Top. So that's coming up next. Donna and I got a top episode we're sharing with you, and pretty interesting. I paired it with Wild Mood Swings. More on that later. Above that, probably my most shockingly low placing is 17 Seconds. Above 17 Seconds, Three Imaginary Boys, but I'm counting it more as Boys Don't Cry. I like Boys Don't Cry in the US release better because it has the singles on it. Above that, I'll take Pornography, but better than Pornography in my book is Faith. I'll take Faith over Pornography. And then we get down to the top four. We got Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And above that, Wish, just because probably a sentimental attachment. Feels like a little bit more concise version of Kiss Me. And Head on the Door, because it is so concise and beautiful. And of course, number one, Disintegration. Best album ever. Woo, whatever. Alright, so that's my list. Feel free to post yours on Facebook or wherever you want to drop a line to me, gavinconner@gmail.com. Be sure to go to Instagram and find us there, where we'll be putting out ideas for new episodes that you can contribute to. You just record a little memo on your phone and send it to me. Or if you got a home recording set up, even better. But it doesn't have to be anything fancy. We can fix most business in the mix there. So just get me some kind of audio file of you just babbling like this, and we'll use it in an episode. Or if you want it to stick to a specific theme, keep an eye out on Instagram. We'll throw it out there, and you can participate, or just write me an email if you hate your voice that bad and you just want to share a thought or something. Drop me an email, gavinconner@gmail.com. On top of that, Facebook has all the bonus material, so go on over there and find the Holy Hour podcast, and you'll see some cool stuff. And of course, iTunes is where it's at. Subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss any episodes. Rate us and rank us over there. Dub Vulture, thanks so much for the new review. Thanks so much for listening. And it's a cool thing out there, throwing this out there to other Cure fans. We're all very different people and have different perspectives on all this, but ultimately it's the love for the Cure that brings us here. I also want to thank Arusha again for the last 2 episodes that we posted. Those were very epic episodes for us there. I hope you enjoyed them. I thank her so much for coming down and hanging out with Donald and I. It may not have even felt that epic when you were listening to them, just people talking, but we really did have like 5 hours of conversation just for that one episode. So it took a lot of weeding through just to get it more concise for you people to listen to and enjoy. And I hope you did. And but yeah, it was a long Cure conversation. So many Cure stories to tell from Marusha. So thanks again to her and all her buddies and stories that have unfolded over the years as a Cure fan. Be sure to go over to her website for her project, Push, a Cure Fan Documentary, at curefandocumentary.com. And there's a Facebook for that too if you want to contact her. So go on over and check that out. And if you want to do some shopping, mixedupgifts.com is always a nice place. One of Arusha's buddies. If you listen to this full story, you can see how they cross paths and how it all fits together like a wonderful Cure puzzle. And you can find some really cool stuff at mixedupgifts.com. And go check it out. Until next time, we'll have a more proper episode with other people involved. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just keep babbling. Who knows? Anyway, thanks so much for listening if you've made it this far. And we'll talk to you real soon. Talk hard.